Deep beneath the shimmering azure waves of the southern sea lay a kingdom of unparalleled beauty. Yonggong, Yonggong, the magnificent dragon palace. Its walls sparkled with pearls, its gardens bloomed with iridescent coral, and its citizens, the myriad sea creatures, lived in joyful harmony. For centuries, the wise and benevolent Yongwang, the Dragon King, had ruled this glorious realm with a gentle fin and a kind heart, ensuring peace and prosperity. However, even in this wondrous paradise, shadows had begun to creep. A great sorrow had befallen the kingdom, for their beloved Dragon King had fallen gravely ill. His once vibrant scales had dulled. His powerful voice was now a mere whisper, and a deep melancholy settled over the royal chambers, casting a pall over the entire ocean kingdom. The Dragon King, usually a beacon of strength and vitality, now lay weak and listless. His eyes, once bright with wisdom, were now clouded with a heavy fatigue. His breathing shallow. His most trusted court physicians, a stern-looking crab doctor and a worried octopus nurse, constantly attended to him, but their faces showed only increasing concern. All the remedies of the sea, from rare kelp elixirs to ancient pearl powders, had been tried. Yet, nothing seemed to alleviate the mysterious ailment that consumed the Dragon King. Hope was fading, and a palpable tension filled the air of the royal palace, weighing heavily on every creature's heart. In a desperate last attempt, the head royal physician, an ancient, wise old crab, consulted the most obscure and forgotten medical scrolls. After days of intense study, his eyes widened with a flicker of both revelation and despair. He clutched a parchment tightly, knowing the cure, though miraculous, was almost impossible to obtain. "My king! My king!" he exclaimed, rushing back to the royal chambers, his voice trembling with a mix of urgency and fear. "There is but one remedy, spoken of in legends, a potent medicine from the land above. Only the liver of a living hare, a taki-toki from the world of humans, can restore your majesty's health." The Dragon King's weak form stirred. A single tear, glimmering like a tiny pearl, rolled down his scaled cheek. "A hare's liver?" he whispered, his voice raspy. "But how can such a thing be obtained? The land above is a world so foreign, so dangerous, for us dwellers of the deep. Who among my loyal subjects would brave such a perilous journey?" A heavy silence fell over the chamber. The task seemed insurmountable. The sea creatures looked at each other, their faces filled with worry and uncertainty. No one dared to volunteer for such a seemingly impossible mission, fearing the unknown dangers of the surface world. Then, from the very back, a small, unassuming figure began to push his way forward. It was Jara, the loyal Terrapin, known for his steady nature and unwavering devotion to the Dragon King. His heart ached at the sight of his ailing ruler. With a deep bow, he declared, his voice firm despite its quietness, "Your Majesty, I shall go. I may be slow, but my loyalty is absolute. I will bring back the Toki's liver, no matter the cost." A ripple of surprise and admiration went through the assembled court. The Dragon King, mustering a weak smile, looked at Jara with immense gratitude. Brave Jara, he murmured. Your devotion touches my heart. The fate of Yongung rests upon your sturdy shell. Jara, filled with purpose, nodded. His resolve hardened. With a heavy heart, but an unwavering spirit, Jara the Terrapin bid farewell to his home. He received detailed instructions from the old crab, along with a small, enchanted flask to keep the precious liver fresh. He packed a few provisions, strapped a small bundle to his back, and began his long ascent through the water, leaving the familiar warmth of Yongung behind. The currents pulled and swayed. The water grew colder, and the light from the sun became increasingly blinding. Every stroke was a testament to his loyalty. He thought only of the Dragon King's fading strength and the hope that he carried on his shell. The weight of his mission settled upon him. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Jara broke through the surface, gasping for the unfamiliar air. The sunlight was blinding, the sounds of birds and rustling leaves overwhelming. He struggled onto a muddy riverbank, his powerful flippers, so graceful in the water, now clumsy and awkward on solid ground. The land world was nothing like the serene depths of Yongung. Everything felt vast and exposed. He had never felt so vulnerable, so small. Yet, he pushed onward, his eyes scanning the dense forest, searching for any sign of a toki, a hare, the key to his king's salvation. Jara slowly navigated through the dense undergrowth, his shell occasionally snagging on thorny bushes. He saw creatures he'd only heard whispers of, birds soaring high above, their songs piercing the quiet forest, busy insects buzzing amongst vibrant wildflowers, and towering trees reaching for the sky. It was a world of bewildering beauty and constant surprise. Days turned into nights. Jara ate strange berries and drank from clear streams. He was tired and homesick, missing the comforting embrace of the ocean, but the image of the ailing king spurred him on. He knew he could not return empty-handed, not after promising his king. One sunny afternoon, just as Jara was beginning to lose heart, a flash of gray fur darted through the trees. It was a toki, a hare. He was sleek, nimble, with long, twitching ears and bright, intelligent eyes. The hare was playfully leaping and munching on clover, utterly carefree, and seemingly without a worry in the world. Jara watched him, hidden amongst the reeds, his heart pounding. The hare was quick, cunning, and wary of strangers, just as the old crab had warned. How could a slow, awkward terrapin possibly catch such a creature? Jara knew he needed to use his wits, not his speed, to succeed in his mission. Taking a deep breath, Jara slowly emerged from the reeds, doing his best to appear harmless. The hare, instantly alert, froze mid-chew, his ears swiveling to pinpoint the source of the movement. His bright eyes narrowed, assessing the peculiar, slow-moving creature with a large shell. Greetings, noble Taki, Jara called out, trying to sound friendly and confident, though his voice wavered slightly. My apologies for disturbing your peaceful afternoon. I am Jara, a humble traveler from a distant land, and I have heard much of your famed wisdom. The hare, wary but also intrigued by the flattery, slowly lowered his ears. He had never seen a creature quite like Jara before. Famed wisdom, you say? The hare replied, a mischievous glint in his eye. And what does a traveler from a distant land want with a simple talkie like me? You look as though you've come from another world entirely. Jara knew he had to be convincing. He remembered the old crab's advice. Appeal to the hare's vanity. Indeed, noble Toki. Jara began, his voice taking on a hushed, reverent tone. I come from a truly remarkable place, and my king has heard tales of your unparalleled intelligence. Beneath the ocean's surface, Jara continued, his voice growing more animated, lies Yonggong, a kingdom of unimaginable splendor, gardens of glowing coral, palaces of mother of pearl, and treasures beyond your wildest dreams. We have fish that sing, jewels that shimmer with their own light, and festivals that last for days, celebrating beauty and wisdom. He described mountains of precious jade, rivers of pure silver, and skies illuminated by luminous jellyfish. The hare's eyes grew wide. He had always prided himself on his knowledge of the land. But this talk of an undersea kingdom was utterly captivating, sparking his insatiable curiosity and a hint of avarice. Our great dragon king, Jara continued, lowering his voice conspiratorially, has heard of your legendary intellect, Taki. He believes your wisdom surpasses all creatures of the land. He wishes to invite you to Yonggong to consult with you on matters of great importance, to bestow upon you honors and treasures that will amaze you. The hare's ears twitched rapidly. An invitation to a magical kingdom? To be honored by a king? His vanity swelled, pushing aside his natural caution. The thought of such prestige and unimaginable riches was too alluring to resist. He imagined himself adorned with pearls, praised by sea creatures. To be honored by a king? The hare repeated, his chest puffing out slightly. This is indeed a great honor, to meet a wise king and share my intellect. I suppose a glimpse of this wondrous Yonggong would be enlightening. Very well. Jara, I shall accompany you to your kingdom. Jara's heart leaped with relief and a touch of guilt. His deception was working. He tried to hide his triumphant smile, maintaining his humble demeanor. Excellent, noble Toki. The king will be overjoyed. Please, climb upon my back, and I shall carry you safely to the deep. The hare, feeling a mix of apprehension and exhilaration, carefully climbed onto Jara's sturdy shell. With a splash, Jara entered the water, and they began their descent. The hare gasped as the world above faded, replaced by an ethereal glow. Schools of bioluminescent fish darted around them, and towering coral formations began to emerge, more magnificent than Jara had described. The hare had never imagined such beauty. He watched, mesmerized, as they passed through glowing kelp forests and past ancient ruins overgrown with shimmering anemones. The cold embrace of the deep ocean was quickly forgotten in the face of such breathtaking wonders. He felt a thrill of adventure he'd never known on land. Finally, the majestic gates of Yonggong appeared before them, gleaming with pearls and carved from ancient, sparkling mother of pearl. Royal guards, formidable-looking fish, and crustacean soldiers bowed respectfully as Jara carried the hare through the entrance. The hare felt a surge of pride, convinced he was truly an honored guest. Inside, the palace was a spectacle of light and color. Walls sparkled with embedded jewels. and grand halls echoed with the gentle hum of the ocean. The hare felt a thrill, utterly convinced he was about to receive a great reward, his mind already fantasizing about the treasures the king would bestow upon him. Jara led the hare directly to the Dragon King's audience chamber. The king, though still visibly frail, sat upon his grand throne, surrounded by his anxious court. Jara bowed low, presenting the hare with a mixture of relief and unspoken worry. The hare, however, strode forward with a confident air, puffing out his chest. "Your Majesty, I have brought the esteemed Taki from the land above," Jara announced, his voice a little strained. The king's eyes, though weak, focused on the hare with a desperate, hopeful intensity that unsettled the hare, if only for a fleeting moment. Before the hare could begin his speech of self-praise, the old crab physician scurried forward, bowing deeply to the king. "Your Majesty," he announced, "this is indeed the Toki. Now, we can finally obtain the cure. His liver, when consumed, will surely restore your health." The words hit the hare like a tidal wave. His liver? His life. The wondrous Yonggung. The royal invitation. The flattery. It was all a cruel trick. His heart pounded, a frantic drum against his ribs. He felt a cold dread wash over him, realizing the gravity of his foolish mistake. For a terrifying moment, the hare's mind went blank with fear. He was trapped, far from his home, surrounded by creatures who wanted his very essence. But then, his quick wit, famed even on land, sparked into action. His eyes darted around the chamber, scanning for any opening, any opportunity. A cunning plan, bold and daring, began to form in his mind. He straightened his ears, forced a brave smile, and stepped forward, addressing the Dragon King with a calm that belied his inner panic. He had to act fast, to spin a tale more believable than any Jara had told him. "Oh, Your Majesty, what a misunderstanding," the hare exclaimed, shaking his head with an exaggerated sigh. "It is a well-known custom among us intelligent hares that we do not carry our precious livers within our bodies at all times. For safekeeping, we store them carefully, usually under a special rock or in a tree hollow, to protect them from harm." A murmur went through the court. The sea creatures, having never encountered a land hare before, looked at each other, confused. The hare continued, "Indeed, a hare's liver is far too valuable to risk carrying it everywhere. Mine is safely stored beneath a ginkgo tree, waiting for me to retrieve it. It's a heavy, precious thing, you see." The Dragon King, desperate for a cure, listened intently. The old crab physician, though a scholar, had no knowledge of such unusual hare physiology. Could it be true? The king, his mind clouded by illness and his longing for health, wanted to believe. He looked at Jara, who stood dumbfounded. "Is this true, brave Jara?" the king asked, his voice weak. Jara, caught completely off guard by the hare's audacious lie, stammered, unsure how to respond. He had never heard of such a thing, but who was he to doubt the customs of land creatures? Jara, ever loyal and eager to please, and perhaps a little too trusting, decided that the hare's story could be true. He didn't want to doubt the very creature he'd brought back. "Your Majesty," he said, bowing deeply, "the ways of the land are indeed mysterious. Perhaps the noble Toki speaks the truth." The Dragon King, seizing on this sliver of hope, made his decision. Then, "Jara," he commanded, a renewed urgency in his voice, "you must take the Toki back to the land. Retrieve his liver, swiftly, and return at once. My life and the future of Yangon depend on it." With a heavy heart, but a renewed sense of purpose, Jara turned and headed back towards the surface, the hare clinging tightly to his shell once more. Jara, still believing he was completing his mission, swam with powerful strokes, eager to retrieve the vital medicine for his king. The hare, however, could barely contain his glee. He silently chuckled, congratulating himself on his quick thinking. The silly Terrapin had fallen for his outrageous lie. He was almost free, almost back to his beloved land, his life and his liver still his own. At last, the two broke the surface of the water. The familiar sunlight, the scent of pine and earth. It had never felt so wonderful to the hare. He quickly hopped off Jara's back, shaking himself dry. Jara looked at him expectantly, ready to follow him to the special ginkgo tree. "Ah, the sweet air of home," the hare exclaimed, stretching his agile limbs. Jara, feeling a surge of success, eagerly asked, "Now, noble Taki, where is this ginkgo tree where you keep your precious liver? We must retrieve it at once." The hare suddenly burst into peals of joyous, mocking laughter. He rolled on the grass, clutching his belly, his laughter echoing through the quiet forest. "My liver, my liver," he cried, wiping a tear of mirth from his eye. "You foolish Jara, do you truly believe a creature can live without its liver? What an absurd notion." Jara's jaw dropped. His eyes widened in disbelief. Then horror. The realization crashed over him like a rogue wave. He had been tricked. The hare had lied, and he, the loyal Terrapin, had been a gullible fool, endangering his king for nothing. There is no special ginkgo tree, no hidden liver. The hare scoffed, still laughing. "My liver is right here, inside me, where it belongs. You poor, simple-minded Terrapin, you fell for the oldest trick in the book. Ha ha ha." He continued to mock Jara, dancing around him in circles. The Terrapin stood frozen, a statue of shame and despair. His mission had utterly failed, and he had been made a fool of. The hare's cruel laughter echoed in his ears, deepening his humiliation. With one final, triumphant laugh, the hare gave a flick of his tail and bounded away into the dense forest, disappearing in a flash of gray fur. He melted into the safety of the trees, leaving Jara utterly alone and utterly defeated on the riverbank. Jara sank to the ground, his sturdy shell feeling incredibly heavy. Tears welled in his large, brown eyes, not only of frustration but of profound shame. He had failed his king, betrayed his trust, and foolishly believed a cunning liar. The vastness of his failure weighed him down, crushing his spirit. How could he return to Yeongung? How could he face the ailing Dragon King and confess his utter failure? The thought of delivering the devastating news filled him with dread, a cold despair that chilled him to his core. He was a loyal servant, but his loyalty had been undermined by his naivete. With a heavy sigh and an even heavier heart, Jara slowly re-entered the water. The vibrant beauty of the ocean now seemed muted, overshadowed by his shame. He began the long, solitary swim back to Yeongung, each stroke a testament to his sorrow and the burden of his failure. The journey back felt infinitely longer than the journey out. There was no hope in his heart, only a deep sense of dread. He knew he had to face the consequences, to deliver the crushing news to his dying king. His once strong resolve had crumbled, leaving only emptiness. Jara finally reached the gates of Yeongung, now dark and quiet. He made his way to the royal chambers, his footsteps echoing in the silent halls. The court was gathered, their faces etched with renewed worry, for the king's health had only worsened in his absence. All eyes turned to Jara, filled with desperate hope. The expectation in their gaze was almost unbearable. Jara lowered his head, unable to meet their eyes. The air was thick with tension, every creature holding its breath, awaiting the news that would decide the fate of their beloved king. With tears streaming down his face, Jara knelt before the Dragon King. "Your Majesty," he choked out, his voice thick with shame. "I have failed you. The Taki, he tricked me. He claimed his liver was stored elsewhere, and I, a foolish servant, believed him. I brought him back to the land, and he escaped, mocking my gullibility." The words hung heavy in the air, a death knell for the king's last hope. The court gasped, their expressions shifting from hope to despair. The Dragon King closed his eyes, a single, silent tear escaping. His last chance for recovery was gone. Despite his profound disappointment, the Dragon King looked at Jara with an expression free of anger. Only a deep, weary understanding. He knew Jara's loyalty was absolute, and his failure stemmed from innocence, not malice. "Rise, loyal Jara," the king whispered. "You did your best. It was not your fault, but the cunning of the Toki." The king slowly smiled, a frail but warm gesture. "Perhaps it was not meant to be," he murmured, accepting his fate with a dignified grace. The court, though heartbroken, felt a surge of respect for their king's unwavering spirit, and so the tale of the Terrapin and the hare became a legend in Yeongung and across the land. It taught both sea creatures and land animals a powerful lesson. While strength and loyalty are indeed valuable virtues, true wisdom often lies in quick thinking, careful observation, and the ability to outsmart challenges rather than facing them head-on with brute force or naive trust. The clever hare survived by his wits, while the loyal Terrapin, though well-intentioned, fell victim to his own trusting nature. This story reminds us that intelligence and cunning can sometimes overcome even the most desperate situations, but also that we must always be wary of deceptive words. What did you think of the hare's clever escape? Would you have trusted the hare's story if you were Jara? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. This timeless Korean folktale, Tokiwa Jara, Tokiwa Jara, continues to captivate hearts with its blend of adventure, deception, and a sharp reminder about the power of the mind. If you enjoyed this journey into the depths of Korean folklore, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel for more enchanting tales, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. Until then, stay curious, stay wise, and we'll see you in the next story.